welcome everyone to this installment of the NEIHR Speaker Series for the 2024-25 year. Today we have Elder Wendy Phillips joining us, and she'll be talking on the laws of creation and how healing is based on our laws. So Wendy is of the Bald Eagle clan. She's a Ojibwa and proud member of the Wasauksing First Nation in the heart of the Muskokas. She's a keeper of the 8 Fire Prophecies, keeper of the Ancient Thunderbird Calendar, a ceremonial leader, spiritual educator, cultural innovator, and traditional Indigenous healer. Wendy is a lifelong educator, advocate, and supports traditional ways of knowing and is devoted to improving the way of life for the next 7 generations. In 2018, Wendy was awarded the Community Medal for Scarborough, Guildwood from M.P John McKay, and she was also the recipient of a Remarkable Woman Award. So welcome very much to this wonderful, remarkable woman, Wendy Phillips. I'll turn it over to you now, and we'll have a little opening to begin this session. Thank you so much.
Miigwech Donna. So bonjour. Megazid Odem. A widow cause a Bejgot Medition cause was Wasauksing na Dunji. Giwin Zibi na Dunjaba. Jaman Maka Podwadmin down. Chimigwach can a gag Gogaja told. Chimigwach Nation Gishgat. Chimigwach also Kanok. Chimigwach Wabanon Mado, Jawanon Mado, Spinchmak Mado, Giwen Mado. Chimigwach Aki. Chimigwach Nimkibneshi. Chimigwach Mujike. Chimigwach Mushomas Nokamas Manan Bojo, Ninwabe, Swabe, Nishode, Shikaka, Mamagwaswa, Nishnabe Sak. At this time, we give our acknowledgements to a being that has created everything and everyone. And we give our gratitude for this good day. And we also give our acknowledgements to what we describe as our legends. And we also give our acknowledgements as well to the 4 directions. We also give our acknowledgements to the earth and to the thunder beings. And we also give our acknowledgements to our ancestors. So I'd like to say a greetings and a welcome to everyone here today. And this is for us, when we look at our laws of creation as to how do they apply, especially to our healing practices and methods that we use, that those things are based on our laws. So for myself, I'm very thankful that I've been able to be part of this and be able to share some teachings and some knowledge about these concepts. And some of my introduction, for myself as a traditional healer, that this is, one of the trainings that I had gone through with our elders and knowledge keepers and ceremonialists, that looking at these particular concepts, and then how do we look at our laws when these things are being done and conducted. So there's many things, I think I would also like to mention. And I think for us, just to give some understanding, the perspective, and for myself, I'm Ojibwa. So part of being Ojibwa, we do have societies and different ways as to how knowledge was transferred. And one of the societies that we had was called the Medewan Society. And this is, for us, it's an old society that had many experts. And the idea was that it was all knowledge that was to be held within this lodge. So some people may have had like medicine knowledge, or some calendar knowledge, or you know, specific teachings on different time periods, or specifically different legends. But there's also other areas that people could specialize in. So some could be, you know, specific ceremonies, linguistics. When we talk about for us, we have many treaties. This is something that for us, you know, our nations were very much well traveled, and you know, this is, I think, some of the things that people, I think, don't realize, that our people traveled, you know, amongst the Americas. So we had a lot of opportunity to work with many nations. So this is, you know, for us, the idea of then for us to be able to preserve knowledge was very important. So this society was then put together to make sure that this knowledge would be protected over time. And so this is where we're fortunate in our family, that both sides of our family had Medewan members within the society. And our family members were different medicine people. They carried very specific knowledge in the medicines, and then others had different ceremonial responsibilities, and then others had different knowledge um, responsibilities. So for instance, our one uncle was a linguist, and another, when we speak about him, he knew over 30 Indigenous languages. And this is beyond North America. So this includes Indigenous languages in Central America, in South America. So when we talk about, you know, that, you know, our nations communicated, that they once did. And so he was called upon many nations from the Americas to help in whenever they would have what they would describe, you know, as counsel. So this is why for us, we know um, our history, you know, different stories was based on the knowledge that he was able to share with the society. So, and our family was able to, you know, preserve a lot of these stories. So it was really good, you know, to hear about these types of things. So this was for us, our upbringing, that we're very fortunate that, you know, we had different family members who were part of this society, and had many different roles within it. You know, we had others who, like I said, were specific knowledge keepers. As to we also had one of our uncles who was who studied astronomy, was specifically what he was responsible for. You know, we had others who were different medicines, different ceremonies. So we're very fortunate to, you know, to have learned many different, you know, aspects as to when we talk about our own experts. And so that's where, for myself, um, you know, being raised and brought up with, you know, a lot of members of the Medewan Lodge, I was really fortunate in that way. So for myself, that's where a lot of, you know, the teachings I hold today, that where some of them come from. And so this is for us, when we talk about our perspective, that's where some of them do come from. So I'm very thankful for that. And when we talk about, you know, understanding uh, our health, and you know, this is, I think, one of the important concepts for anyone to understand is that we are Anishinaabe. So for us, it's one of the words that it describes a human being. And this is, for us, when we are describing a human being, the other things that it's describing is that we are beings of water. And so this is, I think, one of the important concepts, when we talk about water itself, that, there's water within us. And this is, I think, one of the greatest things, to understand is, we're because we have all these fluids, you need to know how these fluids are to be managed. And that's something that for us, we were always told in our teachings on health and well-being that it was your responsibility to ensure that you took care of yourself. It wasn't anybody else's responsibility, that it was your responsibility. So this is something, when we talk about for us Anishinaabe, that we're beings of water. And this is, what we speak about is that, for humans, we're about 85% water and mostly salt water. So there's very little fresh water within us. And the same principle is also within the earth. So this is something for us, what we describe is we are replicas of the earth. So the same minerals and things that you'll find in the earth are also within humans. So this is for us very important when we talk about the health and well-being, not only of our planet, but of our human family. So this is for us when we describe these things. We hope that people will be able to understand to take care of, yourselves and your water. And I'll come back to this again because it's a very important concept, especially when we start describing our laws. So when we talk about our creation story, that one of the things they describe is creator's laws. And so this is what we refer to is when we describe our great laws are actually creator's laws. And so for us, when we describe them, that it's describing that life is sacred. And specifically, when we talk about life, it's so precious that you need to ensure that you honor life and you care for the lives that surround you. And so this is where, for us, we then describe, the laws of creation, that there are many laws. And this is, I think, some of the hardest things for people to sometimes understand, that when we talk about the cycle of life, and different things that maybe a plant or a tree or even animals that they have certain responsibilities, certain roles within creation. Well, that's their law that they need to follow. And this is something for us that we had trapped. And this is what we describe are different parts of creation, whether it's a mineral or plant or animal, that each of these things have a particular cycle. They have different roles and responsibilities and gifts that they give us. So all of these things, these are the laws that they follow. And the reality is we're to know them. And this is something that I think is one of the consequences of being urbanized is that we don't have a lot of relationship, sadly, to those things anymore. That's, I think, one of the consequences of urbanization, especially in the major cities, that Toronto being one of them, that you had so many rivers coming in the city, and sadly now, very few of them you can even see that the city has built over a lot of the smaller ones, especially, and the major ones we still see, but sadly a lot of them have been polluted. And this is the hardest thing is now trying to make sure those ecosystems are healthy again. And this is, I think, what a lot of people are attempting, wanting to see. And so hopefully, I think Toronto may have different parts of their rivers as to being clean, but it doesn't mean that it's completely all the way through the river. And that's, I think, one of the difficulties with when we talk about our environment, that because these rivers are so long that we may not always have control over other areas as to making sure that people are treating those areas well. And that, sadly, for us, because of urbanization, we don't have a relationship like that either, to monitor those things, or to have knowledge about those things, or relationships with the fish or other things that might be using those rivers or streams. So this is some of the difficulties with being in an urban center, that you may not have animals anymore in the city. The closest things might be a zoo, where you see animals, in sadly, you won't see them in a free habitat, like, so there's things like that is, I think, some of the difficulties with when we talk about urban centers, that we tend not to have always a good relationship with different parts of creation. And it's limited as to what the city will allow as well. And the reality is because green space is so rare, that to have that opportunity to grow a garden, to be able to have medicines, to grow them yourself is a very difficult thing. And that's something that in the city, it's sometimes a very difficult thing to do. And so this is where we talk about how the ability to have relationship to these things might be a very difficult thing to do. So this is, for us, some of the hard things of describing what is, when we refer to the laws of creation. And I think for the influence that we have had, and what Western culture has had on us as well, how we define laws. And for Canada, they have a justice system, and the courts have a proceeding as to being able to enforce those laws. And so for us, this is in that same way of thinking, that when those things, sadly, when their laws are not being honored, the consequences are very damaging. And and this is where we're seeing, many species becoming extinct. And so this is, some serious impacts as to climate change today. And so these are some of the issues, I think, when we don't know our laws. And this is, I think, for, the difficulty, for us is, many of us have not been raised in knowing our laws, having relationships with different parts of creation, with having relationships to, the minerals or the elements or, the animals or the plants or the trees. And these are things that, traditionally, yes, they were around us all the time. But sadly, today, this is not the case. That, when we see urban centers, sadly, you see a lot of concrete and, not very much green space. And so this is where, for us in urban centers, that, having that close relationship and understanding these laws will be more difficult. And that's something, I think what a lot of our people are facing, that to understand these laws are a difficult thing, because sadly they're not part of our day-to-day life, like when you live in a city, you may not see, the animal life, and so that's something where, that's a great disconnect. And so this is for us, when we talk about our laws, that, we did traditionally enforce them. And how they were enforced was through our clan system. And that's something that, people may not realize, that usually for every clan, they had a particular resource that they had to manage. And so, and sometimes some of them may be like food related or medicine related, and that's what they were to manage. And so this is something, for us, because like, and I'll speak for, our our people, that that it was sad when, we've had colonization here, that the impacts of it is sad, that, we have been, under the Indian Act, which had enforced an election of, chief and council, that took away our traditional systems, and which meant that it was the also dismantle of our clan system. So some communities today, and many people are, revitalizing those things. And so it's really exciting to see today, that so many people are, wanting to learn, their clan, and what does that mean? And, and communities are finally thinking about, okay, how does this function within our communities? So it's really good. So to see that. And, and this is the other aspect in our teachings, is the spiritual side. And this is something that I wanted to mention, is, for us, when we talk about creator, that in our teachings, this being does exist. And this is something that the role or the responsibility of this being is to create the universe. So this is something that's its job. So what that means is this being is not here. So what this being had done then had hired other beings that we refer to the guardians of the four directions. And so it's these four beings that oversee the laws here. And so when we refer to the laws of creation, that this is the beings when we ask for things, that these are the spiritual beings we are to recognize, that they oversee these laws. So if there's something that is of a consequence, so meaning that you're asking a particular medicine to do something for you, well, that requires you to ask, and so this is a whole other thing as to, if it happens. So this is where, we talk about different methods as to what is being asked. And so hopefully we'll have a little bit of time to talk about those. But for us, when we talk about laws that are specific, we have laws that are throughout the universe, and so those are our universal laws. But we have natural laws that are specific to this earth. And so this is for us, we hope, people may have a connection to. And this is something that, for us as human beings, we have life phases, we have different seasons, we have the moon phases, and we have daily phases, and all these things impact us as human beings. And those areas are the natural laws of this earth. And so some of the life phases that we speak about is when we talk about when a baby comes in to this world, that stage of infancy, that is a very important stage. And then there's our youth, and then there's our adults, and then there's our elders. And this is, for us, when we talk about how, a lot of people may not think that, they're really connected to a lot of, these things of creation. We truly are. And this is, what we talk about is, for those infants, it's the new moon. And then for the youth, it's a first quarter. And then for the adults, it's a full moon. And then for the elderly, it's the last quarter. And so this is something, we try to tell people that, if if your infant is having like night terrors, or, having a difficult time, then that's probably because of the new moon. And so they're just having a reaction to that particular moon phase. So no different than as an adult during full moon. Like you talk to any like emergency health practitioner, professional, that they'll tell you that full moon is one of the times that's where they're the most busiest. And this is, what we describe is, for adults, full moon is that indicator for you as to, what impacts you the most in the moon phases. And it's full moon for adults. For youth, it's the first quarter. And then for the last quarter, it's the seniors, the elderly. So this is where you need to pay attention to, people's age, but also the moon really has an impact on us. So those are, relationships we need to pay attention to. Under the natural laws, the next thing that's impacts us is the different times of the day. So one being sunrise, and then what we describe as high noon, and then sunset, and then we also talk about midnight. So those are the 4 times where for us that traditionally this is, some of the instructions for us as humans that we're to be up, at sunrise, working throughout the day. And then technically when it's sunset, we're supposed to be getting ready for bed. So this is, for us, when we talk about the natural laws, that, we're to be following them as best as we can. So the next part of these natural laws are the seasons. And we have spring, summer, fall, and winter. And this again is being greatly impacted by, the climate change and, the impacts on our environment and how well or not well they are functioning today. And so these are things that, we hope that, people will be able to, look at the different seasons as to, what particular season may impact, you based on your age. And so again, the spring is, for the infants, and the youth are the summer, and the adults are the fall, and the elderly are the winter. And so these are the timelines as to what could impact the most on that particular age group. So knowing all this, that, the natural laws do impact us based on our age, that, based on the Earth's relationship with the moon, that for us, we are then required to do certain things at different times. And this is, some of the things that we describe is that, a lot of our work is done from spring till fall. And this is where, for us, the time of winter is supposed to be this time of resting. So this is where for us, when we talk about, the laws of creation, that we need to make note of that. And, not saying that, certain ceremonies didn't happen, but definitely some ceremonies didn't happen as well. And so meaning like, for instance, like the bears, the turtles, snakes, and things like that, they hibernate, so a lot of those specific ceremonies, that were related to those animals usually did not take place during the winter. And so you really needed to think about that as a conductor. Were you able to do those ceremonies anyways at those times? And that's a great question, for conductors, that, yes, you may have been given a particular ceremony, but if it was surrounding a certain animal, like, meaning the lodge itself, that, based on the animal, it's possible that, you would not conduct that lodge during that time. So that's, some of the responsibilities that need to be recognized, when these particular, ceremonies are taking place. So one of the things I wanted to mention too, as we wind down here, is when we talk about free will, and this is for us a great concept that we describe, and this is what makes us unique as a human being, and that's something I believe we take for granted quite often. And in our creation story, this is such a unique gift because no other being has been gifted free will. So meaning no animals, nothing out of the plants, nothing out of the trees, none of the minerals, nothing like that. And no previous being has been granted free will. It's only been us. And so this is something that is very unique. So what we describe then is that we are to honor our free will, and that we need to honor each other in our free will. And this is why we offer tobacco, and you'll see tobacco ties, and often we give them, and we're supposed to. And that's what that is describing, is that exchange of will. And this is such an important concept with understanding our laws, that as a conductor, I'm not allowed to do ceremony unless I have permission, unless I have an offering. And that's something how I was taught, as to when we talk about ethics, that this is one of the first important things, that we needed permission to do anything. So that's, I think, one of the hardest things today, because sadly, you see people, they might be like a massage therapist, or they might even do like therapeutic touch, or they might be Reiki master. um for us, that wasn't, you just did not go up and start working on someone. That was not allowed. You needed someone's permission to do any work. And so whether it was physical or spiritual or whatever it may be, and that was the point of that exchange of tobacco, was that you were honoring your own will, that you were asking a conductor for a certain healing that you were requesting on yourself. And this is where the conductor has the option, to accept or decline, because not all healers can, heal everything. Like there's certain things where you might only specialize in a certain procedure, and that's something you really need to be mindful of that, because there's so many different healing methods that we had traditionally. And this is some of the things that I think people don't realize. We had so many different methods. So we used, this is, I think, the things that people may not be too familiar with, but we had what we described was sucking doctors. And so they had tubes, and they would suck the sickness out of people. And it didn't matter what type of sickness it was, that they would take the sickness out that way. And we had obviously medicine people. We also had different lodge ceremonies where, this is where Sweat Lodge, was very important in our healing. And, and then we had different ways of using extractions. And this is where, people could use different elements. So they could use water, different types of water. They could use different types of fire, different types of earth. I've seen elders work with sand. So there's so many ways that, how we used to use, different methods. And and I think one of the things is like, from the animal kingdom, different parts of animals. So like feathers, is one way, claws, like teeth. So these are all ways, when we talk about using our instruments. So we also had, ways of, being able to use instruments like our drums and our shakers. And and this is the other reality, was that we had different tools to physically extract things as well. So there's many ways as to, how we did healing. And and this was the thing was, we just did not, somebody just didn't read a book and just decide to do it tomorrow. You spent many years, studying. And you had different elders that supervised you. And and this is, they would make sure that, you were honoring all these different laws within your practice. And the idea was that, you did your best to, work with integrity. And so these are things that, for our people, you did not work on a human. Usually it took about 16 years, sometimes 20. And so it took a long time. And when you think about, a doctor today, if you look at, if they went to school from junior kindergarten all the way up to their medical school, then yeah, like that's like almost over 20 years, so, and for us, that type of, study was super important in our work that we did. So for us, when we talk about how things were enforced, that your teacher was your main authority and supervisor. And and they also had 4 other experts that usually helped them in your evaluation. And so that if you studied in other areas, that was the idea, that you may have, a particular person for a certain medicine, or someone else for a certain ceremony, another person with a different method, that this was, some of the ways as to how, as a healer, using all these different methods, they were so important. But understanding how, that this knowledge was transferred, it took a lot of time. And so that's something, I really wish, that we could see today more. And and this is the difficulty, that it's very scarce today. You don't see as much as, we did, like, and this is the difficulty is, Canada and the United States had banned so many of our ceremonies, and, so many of our practices. And so this is, very illegal for us to do. And so this is where, excuse me, today you're seeing that resurgence today, that people, are now thinking, that they would like to have an option of having a healer, and to make sure that they might do a dual approach where, they do Western medicine and traditional medicine. And so this is, where I really, encourage that people need to understand that, we do have our own laws, and, all these different ceremonies and practices, we're based on, the different laws of creation. And this is, for us in our healing, that people need to remember that it took a while for, these healers to learn to be able to provide these things. And, and the hope is that people can, be able to utilize them. And so that to me, I think is, some of the important work that, we're finally seeing today, is that we're seeing, different businesses and, different places really being able to, blend, or to have, those options like we did. So I'm going to stop there, because I'm not trying to look in the chat there, Donna.
Yeah, yeah, no worries. We do have one question from David around land stewardship, right? So do you think that there's an opportunity for Anishinaabe to become directors of those conservation areas so that we can introduce and enforce natural law where it has been usurped up till now?
This is slowly beginning to happen. This is I think one of the amazing things with I'm not too sure if you're familiar with like a lot of the national parks are now beginning to work with different First Nations and communities to start, including them now as to taking on more responsibility in those areas. And so now that that's happening, you're seeing a lot more shifts in, these conservation areas. And so it's finally occurring, like in this part of the country. I'm not sure though that it's a national thing. That's the only thing. I think it just might be only like a local thing around here. And because like for us, like I'll speak for, around here, that we have so many parks that locally, that are surrounded by many First Nations and many communities. And I think that's, very profound, because, I think some areas may not have that type of support like we have around here, and but I think that's the right direction, that to base, our service delivery models, on natural law. Because once we start working within the laws of creation, that's to me where I believe we'll see the shift in climate change, because we don't know them. And because, we're going against the laws of creation, that's what's creating the major conflict. And that's, why climate change has occurred the way it has, because we've been so disconnected for so long. So I think once we begin, like this greater education, I think we will begin seeing these shifts happen. And because I think they have been, it's just been slow, but they are beginning to come up more and more, which is really, really good to see.
Thank you so much for that. And I agree. There's so much disconnect for us urban individuals who, don't often see much besides, a couple of birds here and there as far as those who should be showing us the natural law. We don't have those opportunities to see and witness that in our day to day, which I also think that it's really affected our wellness and our spiritual balance as well. So I wanted to then I think that's it for now. I don't think we have any other incoming questions at this point. Um, so I think we can wrap up, and I just want to say thank you so much, Wendy, for bringing this knowledge to us and sharing this forward. I think it's a really important time in the Earth's history for us to be making a shift. We need to be making that shift towards reconnection and stewardship of the land. So I'll turn it back over to you if you'd like to close this out in a good way. But I just want to say, Miigwech, thank you very much for being here and for sharing your words with us today. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Donna. Thank you, David. So, bonjour. Megzi Dodem, Widow Kaza Bergom Edition Kaz, Wasauksing Nadunji, Giwin Zibin and Dunjaba, Jaman Magay Podwarmin Dow, Chimigwach can again go gotcha top. Chimigwach, Gishan Gishgat, Chimigwach Minabamazwin, Chimigwach, the Webagon, Dwaganak, Poganak, Sheshagan, Tolakamak, Chimigwach, Boam and Bomnak, Chimigwach, Dodem, Dodamak. At this time, we give our acknowledgments to a being that has created all things. And we give our acknowledgments for this day and being able to spend this time together. We also give our acknowledgments as well to this good way of life. And for us as Anishinaabe people, we do not have a religion. So this is for us that we describe ways of being, ways of knowing. And this is for us what we always aspire to is when we hope that when we have bundles and sacred items, that these things they help us in achieving this good way of life. And so we give acknowledgments that we don't achieve this by ourselves, that we have a lot of help. We have our families, we have our clans, we have our friends and our colleagues, and then we have those people we don't see and those beings we don't see. And so we give acknowledgments for all that help. And so this is what we provide our gratitude for. We also give acknowledgments as well that we all have come here, and we have come here for a purpose or a vision. And we hope that, as each day goes by, that you achieve, some parts of your vision. We also give acknowledgments as well to everyone here and those ones that couldn't be here and those ones that had to leave, that we also give, our gratitude to share these thoughts, to share these words, and to also think about that we ask for good health and long life and peace of mind, and that everyone here and those that couldn't be here will be granted those things too. So we ask that for us that all these good things will be granted to us, and that we ask that our future generations will be healthy and strong as well. And we ask that you may enjoy the rest of your day and take care. Thank you.